Okay, welcome to the deep dive. So you've given us these source materials excerpts from a website, Insured Meds.
That's right.
And the plan now is to, well, jump right into these bits and pieces you sent over,
Yep, begin.
try and figure out what's important, what this site is really about, but only using the information we have right here.
Exactly, just the text you provided. And it's interesting, we get glimpses of their products, their services, who they're trying to reach,
Hmm.
and maybe most importantly, some pretty crucial stuff hidden away in the legal bits.
Right, the fine print. And it seems like quite a range of info. Product lists, okay, services, contact details.
And believe it or not, even a mention of comics.
Comics. Okay, well, that's unexpected for what sounds like a pretty serious area.
It certainly stands
All
out.
right, let's try and unpack this, starting with the basics, just based on these sources. What exactly is Insured Meds presenting itself as?
Okay, so based purely on the excerpts, Insured Meds looks like an online, well, a platform or service. It's focused heavily on insurance, but also a really wide variety of health and daily living products.
Okay, insurance and products, and do we know who's running it?
We do. The sources explicitly state insuredmeds.com is owned and operated by Bill Vargas,
Bill Vargas.
and he's described as a licensed insurance agent.
Got it. Licensed agent behind the wheel. And how easy is it supposed to be to, get in touch with them? The sources mention contact info.
Oh, yeah, quite a few ways, actually. There's a phone number listed, 1-845-380-5809.
Okay.
Also a texting number, same number, plus 1-845-380-5809, an email insuredmeds@gmail.com,
The Gmail address. Interesting.
and a physical P.O. box address, too, in Highland, New York. Plus, a simple request a call button or option on the site.
So multiple channels. What about availability? Do they say when you can reach them?
They do. It lists consulting hours as Monday to Sunday.
Wow, okay. 7 days a week.
Yeah, which, suggests they're aiming for pretty broad accessibility.
That's pretty comprehensive coverage for reaching out. Okay, let's shift gears to what they actually offer. You said products and insurance. Let's look at the products first. The sources apparently list a lot in their store.
They really do. It's a surprisingly broad spectrum. The categories mentioned go way beyond just like basic health insurance adjacent stuff.
Like what?
Well, okay, there are health monitoring devices, mobility aids, things like walkers or canes, presumably,
Makes sense for the demographic, maybe.
hearing aids and hearing amplifiers, vision aids, safety and emergency light systems, daily living aids.
Daily living aids.
So that's pretty general.
It is, and it doesn't stop there. There's fitness and exercise equipment listed,
Okay.
home health essentials, mental and emotional health products, nutritional and dietary products.
Well, even nutritional stuff.
Yeah. Assistive technology, financial and document organizers, and even food preparation and kitchen tools.
Wow. Okay, that is an incredibly diverse list for an insurance-focused site.
Yeah.
Based just on the sources, what does that kind of range suggest to you? Well, just looking at the text provided, offering that many different daily living and wellness items alongside the insurance, it kind of suggests they're positioning themselves as more than just, an insurance broker.
Well, like a support hub.
Maybe, yeah, like a comprehensive support system, perhaps trying to address a whole bunch of needs related to health, safety, independence at home, particularly for their target audience.
Which makes sense because the sources are very clear about who that audience is, right?
Exactly. They explicitly state they serve seniors, veterans, post office retirees, and also people on Social Security disability.
So that product list you just ran through seems, well, pretty tailored to maybe supporting the day-to-day challenges or needs of those specific groups.
It definitely looks that way. And of course, tied into all this is their main thing, the insurance services.
Right. The core offering. What do the sources highlight there?
The key services mentioned are first, finding and self-enrolling in Medicare plans.
Okay, Medicare focus.
And second, life insurance. They list several types. Whole life, term life policies, and also final expenses guaranteed issued policies.
So Medicare and various life insurance options. And how do they pitch accessing these?
They really push this idea of a modern approach to insurance services online enrollment in the comfort of your own home.
Ah, the convenience angle.
Exactly. Emphasizing digital access, doing it yourself from home.
Okay, so let's recap that bit. We have a specific target audience, seniors, vets, certain retirees, disabled individuals, a huge range of products seemingly aimed at them. Core insurance services focused on Medicare and life, And it's all presented as modern and convenient online.
Pretty much, yeah.
And they also make quite a bold claim about where their loyalty lies, don't they?
Huh.
The sources include that line.
Oh, yeah, it's very prominent, or at least included here. We work for you, not the insurance companies.
That's a strong statement, very direct. Designed to build trust, I imagine.
Absolutely. Positioning themselves squarely on the customer side against the big companies. It's a classic marketing approach.
And it's interesting, like you said, how that claim sits next to some of the other features mentioned, things encouraging community.
Right. The sources mention a feature. Connect with your fellow seniors and share your story.
So adding a social or community element on top of the products and insurance, that's another layer.
It is. It suggests they want to be more than just a place to buy things, maybe foster a sense of belonging among their users.
And they also seem to offer a lot of resources, aiming to educate or engage people. Webinars, FAQs.
Yeah, the list includes a free daily educational Medicare webinar online, specifically, a virtual tour of the platform, presumably,
Right.
an FAQ section,
Data stuff.
tips on saving money on Medicare Part B, an option to get a free quote, articles and news, and links to YouTube videos, typical educational content marketing.
All sounds pretty standard for this kind of service.
Yeah.
And then we come back to the comics.
Yeah. The comics?
How on earth does that fit into selling Medicare plans and mobility aids? What do the forces suggest there? Anything?
Well, the sources just listed among the resources. That's it. So purely based on its inclusion, I mean, it's definitely unconventional, isn't it?
It really is.
Perhaps an attempt to, I don't know, lighten the mood, make the site feel less intimidating or more approachable.
Maybe engage the audience in a completely different way.
Possibly. Or maybe it's just something unique they decided to throw in. Without more context, it's hard to say for sure, but it definitely makes you stop and think about their overall communication style.
Definite curveball in the resource list.
Okay.
So we've covered the what, the who, the how, the marketing pitch, the resources, even the comics. But now we absolutely have to dive into what might be the most critical section from the information you provided us.
Agreed. The legal information and disclaimers.
This stuff provides essential context for everything else we've just talked about, right?
Absolutely. This is where the operational reality and the legal duties become much clearer. The sources mention a specific legal notice section.
And its contents are pretty vital for anyone using the site to understand.
Paramount, I'd say. It kicks off by stating very clearly that the website and all its contents are for informational purposes only.
Okay, informational purposes only. That single phrase is huge. It immediately sets a boundary.
It does, and the notice continues, saying nothing on the website should ever be taken as a substitute for professional medical advice.
Right. Always see a doctor.
Exactly. It says you must consult a proper medical provider for any diagnosis, treatment decisions, medication choices, or even advice on exercise or diet.
So a very strong, very broad disclaimer covering anything health-related. It's basically saying we provide info, maybe products, but we are not your doctor or healthcare provider.
Precisely. It puts all the responsibility on the visitor to get actual medical guidance elsewhere, reinforces that boundary.
And then the notice gets really specific about the purpose of the website itself, doesn't it? According to the text you have.
It does. It states very directly, the purpose of this communication is the solicitation of insurance.
Okay. No ambiguity there. The website exists to sell insurance.
Yeah.
That's its legally stated purpose.
That's the core legal definition of its function, yes. It's an advertisement and outreach trying to generate insurance leads or sales. And it follows that up by saying if you interact, contact will be made by an insurance agent, producer, or insurance company.
So if you reach out, expect a sales call from an agent or company. Clear enough.
Yeah.
And there was something specific about Medicare supplement plans, too.
Yes, a specific disclaimer for those. It states they are not connected with or endorsed by the U.S. government or the federal Medicare program.
That's a really important distinction. Managing expectations, making it crystal clear this is a private business, not Medicare.gov.
Absolutely vital. The notice then kind of circles back to the website's function, describing it as an invitation for you, the customer, to inquire.
Invitation to inquire. That phrasing seems significant, too. It's not calling itself a direct enrollment platform there, but more like a doorway to start a conversation.
That's how it reads. And the sources then explain what happens after you inquire. It says calls will be routed to a licensed agent who provides information about plans offered by one or more of our third-party partners.
Ah, third-party partners. That's a key detail.
It really is. It clarifies that the agents you end up talking to via Insured Meds aren't necessarily selling Insured Meds' own plans, but plans from other insurance companies they have agreements with.
So Insured Meds is acting more like a lead generator or a broker, connecting you to agents selling plans from established insurers.
That seems to be what's indicated, and the notice also explicitly says that if you submit your contact info, you're giving permission for an agent to contact you with cost and coverage details. You're opting in to that sales contact.
Right. So reaching out equals consent to be contacted for sales by these agents working with partner companies. And that disclaimer about not being connected with the government or Medicare, it gets repeated.
Yes, it appears again later in the legal notice text you provided, further emphasizing that point about being a private entity separate from official government programs.
Repetition in legal text usually means they really want you to notice it.
Definitely. The notice also adds, for good measure, that Medicare itself has not reviewed or endorsed the information on the Insured Meds website.
Okay, another layer of separation from official sources.
Yeah.
And then critically, for someone actually shopping for a plan, what does it say about the completeness of the options shown?
This is crucial. The notice states the website is not a complete listing of plans available in your service area.
Right, so it's admitting it doesn't show you everything.
Exactly. And it actually directs people who do want a comprehensive overview to the official channels. It specifically lists 1-800-MEDICARE or the website medicare.gov for finding a complete listing.
So it acknowledges its own limitations in showing the full market, which is, I suppose, transparent in a way.
It is. It sets that expectation clearly.
Okay, and finally, just a small detail. The sources mention a copyright date.
Yes, copyright 2024 just confirms the information you shared is current as of this year.
Simple fact, but good to know.
Okay.
So, we've really picked through the information you provided about this Insured Meds website.
We have.
We've seen this interesting mix. A very wide range of products, specific insurance services, a clearly defined target audience,
Right. The marketing claims about working for you, the community features, the educational resources.
and those slightly odd extras, like comics.
In the comics.
But then, underpinning all of that, these very important, very clear legal disclaimers. They frame the site as informational only for the solicitation of insurance, routing inquiries to agents who represent third-party partners, and explicitly state they are not part of Medicare or the government and don't show all available plans.
We've basically just laid out the facts as presented in your sources.
Exactly. So let's leave the listener with this based only on this specific combination of information you've given us.
Okay.
You have this presentation layer working for you, community, comics, broad resources, and then you have the legal foundation and invitation to inquire for insurance solicitation, routing you to third-party partner agents, not government-endorsed, not a complete list.
That juxtaposition.
Right. So just considering that specific blend from these sources, what questions might that combination raise for you, the listener, as you evaluate an online service like this one before you decide whether or how to engage with them further?